Today I am going to be telling you... I don't know if it's a gang sign, but if it... Whoa, not that one. Welcome back, Mystery Seekers. We're glad to have you with us. I am currently with Nate and Taylor. They're also happy to be here. Today, I'm going to be telling you all about the mysterious disappearance of Jaryd Atadero, while you two do whatever the fuck those movements are.
I'm just dabbing.
Oh! Okay.
I'm ready.
Are we ready for the story? In October 1999, Alan Atadero took his two children, 6-year-old Jocelyn and 3-year-old Jaryd, to the lodge that the family owned near the mountains around the Poudre Canyon in Colorado. On October 2nd, a group of adults staying in the area who were considered to be family friends, and they had also babysat the Atadero children, I believe, on multiple occasions, were going for a short hike to the fish farm up the road and invited Jocelyn to come along. Jaryd, being a 3-year-old and wanting to be involved, was begging to go along with this group and to go along with his sister. Alan was very hesitant to let Jaryd leave because he was so young, but also because Jaryd had never been anywhere too far without also being with his father. After some convincing from the adults leading the group, Alan agreed to let Jaryd tag along. After visiting the fish farm, the group ended up deciding to drive a short while up to the Big South Trail to continue their hike because they didn't really want to go back to the lodge yet. So Alan didn't see the group again before they went back out, and he had no idea that they were actually going up to the trail. He only knew that they were going to the fish farm. This was because it was, back in the 90s, not a lot of people had cell phones, and even if they did, it was up in the mountains, it would have been really poor reception. So again, Alan was never informed that the group was actually going into the mountains that day. This is where it starts relating to one of your cases. While on the trail, the group, now there were some conflicting reports about whether it was like 10 or 15 adults, it was somewhere in between there. They had split up along the trail into a lead group and into a slower group. Jaryd was with the slower group but decided to catch up to the lead group. And when he did that, the adults lost sight of him on the trail. And as we know from your stories, it only takes a split second for a child to be out of your line of sight for them to just disappear. At some point, 2 fishermen and Jaryd crossed paths on this trail, and Jaryd asked if there were any bears in the area. The men told him that they were, in fact, in bear country, and then they let Jaryd go on his way. That bothers me a lot because...
The bears around here?
There sure are, buddy.
Bye.
You have a great day.
Yeah, that bothers me because it's 2 adults that are just running into a tiny 3-year-old completely alone on this trail, and they don't try to help him find the group. They don't even look for the group. Like, they just let the kid go, which is super strange.
Maybe, well, okay. If there's not a whole lot of places to go, or if it's literally just a trail, then...
I don't know if the trail splits up anywhere or if Jaryd had wandered off and kind of found a river or a lake nearby.
Maybe, but if it was just a normal trail and they would have had to have met. It's cool he could have broken up by that point, but if it's pretty soon after he went ahead.
It doesn't say how soon, it just says at some point, and I couldn't find any solid confirmation about what time he disappeared versus what time he ran into those mountains.
Right. Well, he couldn't have passed. Here's the thing. Jaryd could not have passed the lead group. He could not have gone around them.
Right. If he stuck to the trail, there's no way he could have done that.
Right.
Because they would have seen him.
So if they're still on the trail, he couldn't have passed them, which would mean that the fishermen would have met with him if they were still on the trail before he ever got to that lead group and after he had left the trail group, right? So he like, it was in that middle area, most likely that he would have met these guys unless he had split off already at some point, all that. But like, in that case, I could see the fisherman having just passed a group of people with a 6-year-old daughter going, oh, he's probably just following that group. Yeah. And letting him go.
That makes sense.
In their defense, that's all I was trying to get at.
No, that makes sense. It totally does. That, when the fisherman saw him, that was the last time that Jaryd was seen at all. When the two groups on the trail reconvened and realized Jaryd was gone, they decided to head back to the resort. And once they got back to the lodge, Alan asked if his kids were okay. The group told him that Jocelyn was okay and that, this is a direct quote, Jaryd is okay, we just can't find him.
Jesus.
Upon hearing this news, Alan immediately drove up to the trail to begin his search and informed search and rescue of the situation. A 5-day search for Jaryd began, but was cut short due to the conditions in the mountain becoming really cold and snowy. Jaryd's case went cold until 4 years later in 2003, when a couple of hikers came across children's clothes and shoes, teeth and skull fragments about 150 feet off a section of trail marked as strenuous. The condition of the clothes left more questions than answers because the pants were inside out and the shoes were in nearly pristine condition, which suggests that they had not been left sitting out in the elements for 4 years. And all of these items were located at the top of a 550-foot vertical climb.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
here's the thing though, like 100, like, yes, he's at the near like a cliffside that's 550 feet high, but it also says he's 150 feet off the trail. Yeah. So I think that there's still a trail to get you up there. It's not like the only possible way for a human to get up that is to scale 550. I feel like it's more like, look, like a mountain like this, he's at the edge of this, but there's still like a big trail and probably get you up there.
I think the trail that they mean is the trail that everyone else had been taking.
Right.
Which is like a trail that's kind of down here. So it's 150 feet off of the trail and then 550 feet up. So I think what they mean, it's just like this way, but then also vertical. But isn't it, what was it, Alfred?
Oh, Alfred, yeah.
Alfred. That this is like super similar to where, Alfred was the one that they saw at the top of a cliff and then got yanked backwards.
Right.
Or walked backwards.
That's crazy.
But yeah, that's so similar.
Same.
Yeah. That's why when you were telling it, I was just like, oh my God, is this the same story?
Yeah. And honestly, looking more into the missing 401 cases, you see a lot of similar scenarios where people go missing and they're found sometimes within minutes. You hear these reports of them being seen in these areas that are almost impossible for them to get to, especially for their age. It's incredible, really.
Especially with searches having been done, like very thorough searches having been done of the area, but then for 4 years to go by and they didn't find a body. And they just found bits and pieces.
Also, like up there, like I don't know if they during that 5 days they used planes or not at all. But like if it's 2,000, like I would expect they would. I feel like if he's that high up, somebody would have seen.
Yeah, it was 1999.
Yeah, like I don't know how they missed that if they were flying above it all.
I don't either. And it didn't really say where like the other cases that I talked about with Paula Weldon and those specifically even back in 1950 and I think it was 1946 that Paula Weldon went missing. They were using planes and like helicopters and stuff to like look for people.
One of my cases in 1928.
Yeah.
They found something using a plane.
And you would assume that like if they're doing, a very thorough search of the area in the late 90s,
how did they not?
They would have had every reason to have been using like helicopters or any kind of like more technological advances to search for people.
It's terrible, but it really sounds like he was abducted and raped. Because his pants being inside out sound like somebody ripped his pants down. And if you rip your pants down without taking his shoes off, his shoes would have been covered for those years by the pants. They would not be in weather conditions. They'd be covered up because the pants would go home.
But the pants were totally destroyed. The pants were like
after that many
torn
years
up and stuff. But then how were the shoes in such good condition if the pants had been torn up?
Is he just a skeleton and he's just bone fragments?
There's like no body.
Yeah, because he was
skull fragments.
At that point, he'd be eaten by all. It's Denver in the mountains. He'd be eaten. That would explain them like clawing through his pants to get at his legs. It doesn't explain his pants being inside out or his shoes being clean.
So, and what I think is that, you know, if the shoes were completely pristine, maybe someone had them and brought them back to the area when they like got rid of the body and then the body was carried off. But so I don't tend to look into a lot of theories for these cases, just because with some of them they can get kind of obvious. A lot of people go back to like, oh, they were abducted or something more like legitimate happened. But for this one, I found one of the most insane theories that I've ever heard just about anything. So are you guys familiar with golden eagles? Okay. So golden eagles are massive. And what they tend to do is they'll pick up their prey, they'll throw it over a cliff, and they'll eat it that way. And I mean like goats. So they're picking up like very large animals. That's how big they are. So people have speculated that a golden eagle got a hold of him and was holding him by his pants. And so if Jaryd was struggling to get away while this eagle was flying around, it would have been holding onto the pants, so Jaryd would have fallen out, forcing the pants to go inside out. Same thing as your theory, where like the shoes get kind of stuck inside of it, and then the bird gives up because the prey is gone, lets go, flies off. Jaryd falls at the top of this cliff, hits his head, either dies right then or is like so wounded that he can't help himself, he can't get up or do anything. He's only 3 years old, so a fall from a pretty decent height would be pretty easy to kill a child, especially if he had hit his head. And then over the years, you know, other predators got at the remains.
Well, I mean, wait, why would you say that I thought you said the eagle like lost him and went away?
Yeah, the eagle just like dropped him and flew away.
Right.
That's the theory that I read.
Yeah, but I mean, like, why would it do that? You already said it drops its prey to its death, and then you said, why wouldn't that have just been
That was my thing, because I'm like, if you ever watch videos of golden eagles, like they pick up goats, they throw them over the side of a cliff to kill them, and then like, so they don't actually have to kill it. Yeah. So, you know, the fall kills it or injures it at least, and then they can go down and pick at the scraps. Yeah, I thought that theory was wild.
Theory.
Yeah. All right, mystery seekers, we hope you enjoyed this week's video about Jaryd Atadero. We're glad that you've been sticking this out with us. And next week, you get to listen to Nate tell you guys all about Devin Williams. We'll see you next time. Bye!